Okay, what's going on? Vincent Rapsardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com. There are many topics to talk about in regard to the New York Football Giants. They beat the Dallas Cowboys. They also saw the Eagles completely throw a game in the most obvious way possible, the most obvious way that we've ever seen in a professional football game. Joe Judge had some comments about that. Dave Gettleman is also back. He is back. He will have another season as Giants general manager. There are a lot of people who absolutely hate that, and then there's some people that are willing to give Dave Gettleman more time as they enter the next phase of their rebuild, which really is just they need to make the playoffs next year. That's essentially what the next phase of their rebuild is. They need to compete, be a legitimate competitor next year, and be a postseason team. But there's a lot of topics. I specifically want to talk about this tank of a game. So I think a lot of people use the word tanking, right? The word tanking has been used a lot over the years. This year specifically, it was tank for Trevor, right? Tank for Trevor Lawrence. Well, I think a lot of people look at tanking as play your young players and give them experience, and you're probably going to lose a lot of games. That's kind of what tanking is. If you're a bad team, all right, you're bad, and just understand that you're bad. Play your young players. You'll probably lose a lot of games, and that's kind of tanking, okay? And then there's this tanking that we saw last night where literally the game was purposely thrown. Now, certain teams that are bad, let's say the Jaguars or the Jets, those teams, their rosters are not very good. They're not built to win right now. A lot of young players, a lot of unproven players. They are technically, I guess, tanking, but in the sense of they're just not a very good team, and there are a bunch of young players getting playing time and experience. I don't know if you can truly make the argument that those players are purposely trying to be bad. It's just that they're just not ready to win yet. They're just not at that stage in their career, most of those players. So you have that kind of tanking where you're just kind of young and you're not that good, and you just kind of accept that a team is bad and that they're probably going to lose and get a high draft pick because they're just not ready. But then you have a team purposely throwing a game in the most obvious way possible. I mean, if you can't see that in what happened in last night's game, I don't know what to tell you. And a lot of people were upset by it. It doesn't look good. Purposely throwing a game. I mean, you have Jalen Hurts who's playing, and it was 17-14 in the second half. Should have been 17-17. They went for it on fourth down at like the 5-yard line. They should have kicked the field goal. Would have been a tie game. So it was a very competitive game. There was no reason to take Jalen Hurts out. He had 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. So I know a lot of people say, well, he was 7 for 20. Well, he still had 2 touchdowns. And since being given the opportunity to start, he has played fairly well. He looks like a promising young player. Second round pick, so the Eagles invested a high draft pick on him, so I'm sure they would like to see that work out. They like him. They like him to the point where they're willing to sit Carson Wentz on the bench. So, with all that being said, how do you pull him out of a competitive game for Nate Sudfeld, a career backup? Let's just be real. He's a scrub. He's not good. He has no potential to be the future starting quarterback, franchise quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles moving forward. We all understand the situation. It made no sense, okay? And for anyone who is truly supporting this decision, just look at Jalen Hurts' reaction. Multiple videos of him saying that this isn't right, this is BS. And now there's another report coming out that multiple players had to be restrained from going after Doug Peterson, okay? That's how ticked off they were. And right now, Doug Peterson's in a situation where Carson Wentz apparently broken relationship, okay? Broken relationship with Carson Wentz. He wants to be traded and he's done. Jalen Hurts is seen on the sidelines, clearly not happy with the decision. And it's one thing if a coach and a quarterback disagree on play calling here and there. Yeah, that happens. It's another thing if you start losing respect for the coach because you don't think that the integrity is there, or just an overall respect for the coach is not there because you don't think he's out there trying to do what's best for his guys and trying to go out there and win football games and trying to compete. So respect lost? Maybe. And now we're seeing that players literally wanted to go at him and potentially fight him on the sidelines. Look, we all understand the whole debate between the draft pick versus trying to go out there and win a meaningless game. Okay, we understand it. You would rather, everyone, if they had the choice, would rather have a higher draft pick. We understand that. At the same time, do you purposely go out there and do that and purposely throw a competitive game. You take your pretty good starting quarterback out, promising young player, who, don't you think that his teammates and their fan base would like to see more of as the potential replacement to Carson Wentz if Carson Wentz is not an Eagle after this season? And you take him out for Nate Sudfeld, career backup who has no shot of ever being the future quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, the future franchise quarterback. And again, in a competitive game, it's not like they were down by 3 touchdowns or up by 3 touchdowns. This game should have been tied. So you can understand the frustration. And now, again, you look at it, and was it actually a meaningless game? Because clearly there seems to be, some issues here with his team. Does Jalen Hurts, has he lost respect for Doug Peterson? Potentially a guy that you think could be your franchise quarterback, has he already lost respect for his head coach? Carson Wentz is already done, it seems like, from what we've heard. He doesn't want anything to do with Doug Peterson. There's players that wanted to fight Doug Peterson because of how disgusted they were with the clear decision to tank last night's game. I'm recording this on Monday night. Was it worth it? Was it actually a meaningless game? Because now you look at it, and the Eagles went from potentially a 9th pick to the 6th pick, so they move up 3 slots. But now you got to wonder, do they even have any respect for their head coach moving forward, for the players that will remain on the roster going into next season for Philadelphia? So let's move on to Joe Judge. So Joe Judge commented on this tanking situation with the Eagles, and to sum it up, he said that it was disrespectful and that his team won't ever do that, that the New York Giants will always fight and play hard, and they won't do what the Philadelphia Eagles clearly did, which was throwing a game. So this comment, a lot of people took it as, well, the Giants are 6-10. They could have controlled their own destiny, and they lost a ton of games, so stop whining. That's not what his comment is about, okay? He's not making excuses. He's not saying this or that in terms of making excuses and saying that, oh, the Eagles cost the Giants a chance at the playoffs. What he is saying is that, you see that? The New York Giants will never do that. Okay, the New York Giants will play a full 60 minutes, no matter what the situation, no matter what the circumstance, no matter what the playoff situation is. They will always go and give 110%. And I think you have to respect that. You have to respect a comment like that. And clearly a lot of passion in what he said there. A lot of fire in what he said there. You have to respect that. And there's going to be teams, and there's going to be coaches, the Eagles probably specifically, and fans, specifically the Eagles, who are going to hate that, but that's okay. The New York Giants have a coach who is willing to clearly stand up and say that, look, no matter what the situation is, they're going to fight. And they're going to fight every single week, no matter what. And you have to respect that. And you have to respect that, too, in this day and age where everything is so PC. I mean, he could have easily just said, well, the Eagles, they went out there and they tried their best. And, the situation is what it is. But now he was pretty fired up. And he was ticked off. Because nobody likes to see that. A lot of people were fired up. I had friends who don't like the Giants at all. They don't care. And they were like, this is a joke. This is embarrassing. This is a disgrace to the league. I think a lot of people felt like that. There were Eagles who felt like that, clearly. Former Eagles who felt like that. So that's that with the tanking situation. I'll do another video on Gettleman, Giants' future, free agency, offseason draft, all that stuff. We'll have a bunch of stuff coming up. It's going to be an interesting offseason for the Giants. Next season, 2021, it's pretty close. It's not that far away. And the Giants are going to have to win some football games. They're going to have to compete. They're going to have to be in the playoffs if Dave Gettleman wants to keep his job, and if the Giants kind of want to prove people who doubted their rebuild wrong. And we'll see. They'll have an opportunity next season, and this offseason will obviously be key in them trying to do that.